Hello there and welcome back to Japan's Perfect Pens. This is Richard and today we're going to be doing another Namiki Emperor review. This time we are reviewing the Namiki Emperor Rakucho Birds and Cherry Blossom by Masahiro, and this is a 2020 pen. So let's take a quick look at it and see what it is we're dealing with. So we have two birds and we have the cherry blossom, and the pen has actually got a greyed background with the cherry bark pattern across it, and it has a Maki-e clip and it's a lovely pen. The cherries are particularly nice, they have a little bit of red in the very middle. We'll take a look at those later. So start with the basics. This is a rounded cap Namiki Emperor eyedropper ebonite pen. It's about 17 centimeters long, 13mm section diameter. There is Maki-e on the clip, which there isn't always, and it sports a two-tone size 50 18 karat gold nib. Now if we just zoom in and have a little bit of a look here, you can have a look at the clip there. You can see that the Maki-e continues onto the clip. You can see some of the cherry, you can see just a little bit of the red and highlights. So the technique for the Maki-e is that Shishii Togedashi Maki-e, which is the combination of raised Maki-e and burnished raised Maki-e. There's about 30 stages of production to get to a black pen before any Maki-e is added, and then layers and layers and layers of Maki-e are put on top of it, raised in certain sections to create a variety of textures and finishes. Now this is the way that most of the Namiki Emperors work. Now if we just look in here, you can see the light coming from the side is highlighting the edges of the bird in the middle there, and that's the effect of it being raised. You can also see the same with some of the cherry and indeed the bark there on the tree that the bird is standing on. So another look at the birds here. It's a slightly different angle. Again, you can see that every single large feather is highlighted and has a shape to it that helps the pen look very 3D in effect. So if I hold it here and just turn it for you, you can see the light playing off it in various places. You can see the tail. You can see here the cherry blossom. It's really beautiful cherry blossom. It's some of the best I've ever seen in the Maki-e work. And the highlighted sections of the branches. There's the signature. The clip coming around with the Maki-e on it, consistent with the background of the pen. I actually really like this. And here is the cherry blossom in a little bit more detail. In the middle, you can see there reflecting a tiny bit of radon work in the middle of each of the cherry flowers. And that radon really gives it a lovely feeling. As you rotate, you just see these little glimpses in the middle of the cherries, and the detail there is really exquisite. Even when looked at under high magnification, it's really beautiful detail in those cherries. You can just see some of it there, just shining out. Really, absolutely, no other word for it, exquisite work for those cherry blossoms, and I've seen a lot of cherry blossoms in different pens. Right, so if I hold it here and then rotate it, hopefully you can get a look at it. So there the raised Maki-e is on very clear display as the things move around to the right. At the very top of the pen you can see a little bit of radon work, and as we rotate it back you can see the cherries. Looking at the bottom, here we have the large bird with a beautiful tail section, lovely blended colours, and this very beautifully detailed wood that it's standing on. There's the signature with the kokokai on the right. So I'll just show you the end of the pen. The top of the pen here has this radon embedded, and it offers a little bit of contrast in terms of the colours, the purples and the greens, and then the same thing is visible here. So I turn this at the bottom, see? Just about get it in focus. Yeah, and that catches the light. When it catches the light, the radon glimmers very nicely. So, back to the pen, let's unscrew it, and you'll see that actually the section has the same pattern on it as the main barrel, which is quite unusual. And here is the two-tone size 50 18 karat gold Namiki Emperor nib, this time in medium, which is the nib that most of the modern emperors have. So it's a size 50 nib, like we just said, 18 karat. They come smooth. Generally there's a wet flow. You can slightly control it via the valve, but the valve pretty much turns it on or off. And there's a two-tone Mount Fuji snow cap. Now, as I am reviewing many Namiki Emperors, I have a dedicated review. This is the thumbnail for the review. You can find that on the list of videos, and that's the title. In that review, I do writing samples of 3 different Namiki 50 size. So take a look at that, please. In general, it's a very large pen, it's a very large nib. The size of the nib is the main consideration, and how far away your fingers are from paper. That has an effect on the style of writing, which may or may not be very different from your normal experience. But take a look at that video, I'll link to it here. Okay, so now we've talked about the techniques of Maki-e a little bit, we've talked about the themes, we've talked about the Raiden. Let's just have a look at the pure aesthetics of this pen. Now, the most striking thing that's different from other pens is the background pattern, which is something that you don't find on that many Namiki Emperors presented in such a format. Now, I've already mentioned that this background pattern is the shape of the bark of Japanese cherry trees. Now, there's a particular type of woodwork called kabazaiku. Now, kabazaiku literally actually doesn't mean cherry, it means birch tree, but in practice it's cherry tree woodwork, and this is strongly themed around that. So it's a nice background, actually. I have to say, it not being black, because sometimes you have a gold background, but this isn't gold either. So this is a sort of a grey background with the warm bits of the bark highlighted. So I have to say that's actually a very nice effect. When I first saw it, and I for a second I didn't realise it was the actual cherry bark, and I kind of wondered why was there a random pattern, but it's not a random pattern at all. And the second you see a photograph of this cherry, it looks identical to how they've rendered it, so it's actually very nice. And that's one of the themes of this pen. This pen has grown on me since I first held it. When I first saw it, I thought it's a nice bird, and it's really, really well done cherry blossoms, but I didn't necessarily think that they came together in a way that made it utterly outstanding. It was obviously very good, but it didn't blow me away. And actually, the more I've used it, the more I've come to really like this one, and especially just the theme of the bark with the flowers on top. It really is. I've said it several times already. They're exquisite flowers. You should have a look at these if you can get your hands on one of these pens. So with this pen, they'd have had to take the black basic pen, put the grey layer on top of it, which is the bark background, and then on top of that they put the warm gold that they've used to create the brown effect of the bark, and then on top of that they start putting the Urushi for the cherry and then the birds. So this really has many, many layers. So each time they will add some of the Maki-e. It'll either be a flat layer or a raised layer. They'll put it in the humid cabinet where it hardens for quite a few days, take it out, add a little bit more in different places, put it away, and this pen especially, you can see exactly why this one's going to take quite a large number of months to create, because it's got all these layers on top of each other that you can't really paint simultaneously. They have to be done one after the other. They need the layer beneath it to be finished before the next one can be done. So this is a intensively manual pen, even by the standards of Namiki Emperors. And for me, that's pretty impressive. Many of the pens I am reviewing and have reviewed already on this site are 10, 15, 20 years old and long out of production, but this one isn't. So I hope you enjoyed looking at it. I certainly enjoyed reviewing it. So thank you very much. Please hit that like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. And please come back and view this channel for many, many more Emperor reviews, and afterwards a whole load of Yukari Royale reviews. Thank you very much. Have a great day.